Welcome back to the PT Graduate Podcast. My guest today, Mr. Richard Kerr Phillips. Hi, Richard. How are you?
Irish, very good. Thanks. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you for carving out a bit of time for me and being able to catch up and pick your brains because I think it's going to be quite an interesting conversation. You've got some interesting things going on in your life and the things that you do. So yeah, I think the listeners are going to find some gems from this. So you've been in the industry a long time. Is it 18 years? Is that right? You've been practicing?
I've been PTing for since 2014, so
Okay.
11 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I've been quite into lifting weights, and that since I was 15. So that's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
What was it that inspired you to get involved with lifting weights and at quite a young age as well?
yeah. I mean, if I'm honest, I just wanted to look more attractive. Just was wanting girls to find me attractive. So I thought if I
Yep.
lifted weights, that would that would work. Um, that was the reason I started. But I loved it. I really enjoyed it right off the bat. I started enjoying lifting weights as soon as I did it, and then I just did it for the joy of it quite
Mm.
shortly after I started. I started as a 15-year-old. You don't didn't know what to do, and didn't and thought that my ideas were better than the personal trainer's ideas. But yeah, I thought I knew. Once I began, I thought I knew. Um, it took me a while to learn that yeah, exercise science has a place, and that there's a way of getting stronger and growing muscle, and that we're always getting closer and closer to figuring out what's optimal, but we're never really quite there.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of young lifters begin, and uh, yeah, where do you think people get their source of this is how I'm going to do it? Where do you think they, as young lifters, where do you think they start off, and what do you think makes them
Yeah.
decide they're going to try what they're going to try? What
Good
do you think?
question. I think I've sort of my era was magazines more so than social media, but I think now that social media piece has taken over.
Mm,
There's so many online experts, so-called experts, who are happy to hand out advice, but we don't necessarily know all their credentials. So
mm,
maybe it's what's worked for them as opposed to what the science says.
mm.
Yeah, so Men's Health and all those bodybuilding magazines, that they were kind of the original starting point, I think, for people to be able to access that sort of information and follow programs and things.
I remember looking at Men's Health and thinking maybe one day I'm going to be on the cover of a Men's Health magazine as a young kid. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think so. Yeah, early on got into lifting weights. Loved lifting weights. I was the kid at school who would come back to school during the school holidays to use the gym. So anyone there, and that carried on right through university. I was spending more time at the gym than I was in my university classes. I did a Bachelor of Commerce, but
Yeah.
yeah, as I said, spent more time in the gym. Once I'd finished studying, I had career pathways around business management and then mediation. And those are the two areas that I was looking in. And then someone said to me, what would you do? Like, you're trying to choose between these two, but what would you do if you could do anything? If anything was possible, what would you do? And I said, oh, I'd be a personal trainer. Like, definitely be a person. If anything was possible, I'd do a personal. And then they said to me, well, why don't you do that? And it was the first time it would become a real possibility for me. I thought, oh, really? That's actually, oh, okay. And they said, just do that. So a few months later, I was enrolled in a course.
Mm.
And yeah, so then that's what led me into becoming a personal trainer. And very grateful to that person who encouraged me. I find it was definitely for me. I think it's not for everyone. We were talking before you hit record before, but there's a fairly high turnover in the
Mm.
industry.
Mm.
I think it's not for everyone. I think that you have to love lifting weights and exercising. You have to love that. That's for sure. It has to be a passion.
Mm.
But you have to love helping other people do it, and you have to have the personality for it, the emotional side of it, to be present for people, emotionally present for people. That I think people often overlook it.
Mm,
I think that it can look like quite a glamorous lifestyle, and it can certainly be. Um, you're the superhero that everyone's aspiring to be like, and
mm,
uh,
mm,
yeah, you definitely have that stardom. But I mean, it can be that way, but you have to be emotionally present for people, and I think that that part gets overlooked, and I think that's why there's a lot of turnover.
yeah.
That and there's a lot of the business side of it. I think is not as well taught, and perhaps not as much expected by the new personal trainers.
Yeah.
And yeah, so to just be, if you're coming into it and you think you're thinking about taking it up as a career, you'd be aware of the emotional availability that you need to have. You need to be very present, and however determined you are, I think that that can kind of wane. You can
Mm,
be really meaning well, but after you've had 6 or 7 back-to-back PT sessions, you can start to fade a little bit.
yep.
Don't know if you've experienced this yourself or your
It's
thoughts on
funny.
it, but I think it's definitely for a certain personality, and you have to like find that out if that's you before you begin
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we were actually just talking about that yesterday, coaching group that I belong to, and one of the ladies was saying that she actually needs downtime between every session so that she can restore. And I
mm,
said, well, I get what you mean. And I said, I think I can probably go 3 sessions back to back, but then
mm,
after that, I'll need some downtime. So everybody's different, right?
mm,
But you're
mm,
right. I think to be both energetically and emotionally present
mm,
for those
mm,
sessions. Yeah, back to back for 6 or 7 is pushing it, I think, and regardless of your
mm,
age,
mm,
because it takes its toll. So, and you're right, though, those are the key skills, those are the critical skills that really make a session go well and why people stick around, as opposed to,
yeah.
your technical skills, which really, it doesn't matter. They just assume that we've got the necessary technical skills to do our job well.
Mm.
Yeah, you're hitting the nail on the head there, I think.
I think you have to be technically good enough, but you excel when you are the kind
Mm,
of person that people want to spend time with, and you can
mm,
continue to be that kind of person, regardless of your personal life situation. If you are going
mm,
through some kind of turmoil at home, and you can still be emotionally present, that's it's going to require that. Like the job will require that you
mm,
are there to be all about that other person, and they might have a little trouble going on in their life, and you might have something way more significant, but you're there for them. So you have to be able to give yourself completely to them and give them your full attention and
mm.
really want what's best for them in the session. And then to be able to do that for, yeah, however many you're doing in a row. Um, and then to do that day after day for the week. And then, yeah, week after week, you have to be able to do that. So,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, those are the PTs that I see have excelled. I've worked with a few PTs. Some PTs have contracted for us, and they're the ones that have stood out and have managed to stay the long haul. Have all had that skill down pat.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So your business is called Razor's Edge, right?
correct. Yes, Razor's
Yep.
Edge
Yep.
personal training.
Tell us a bit about that.
Well, um, on this point of having the emotional side down, I found that when clients were getting results, they stayed longer as well. So
Mm,
that pushed me into the exercise science side of things.
mm,
Um, and I think it pushed me to try and figure out how to be the best personal trainer that I could be. But that ultimately led me into long retreat. So I practice Buddhism. I meditate every day. This is my downtime and way of charging.
yeah.
But I did a 6 month long silent solitary retreat in like monk-like conditions in a place called Thailand.
Yeah.
It's a specific Buddhist tradition and a specific center in the tradition that specializes in silent retreat.
Yeah.
So you have no phone or email or contact with the outside world, no verbal communication, no eye contact with people. You're completely on your own,
Wow.
much like solitary confinement. And then you're just meditating for 8 hours every day. And this is a way to examine my mind and figure out,
Mm,
yeah, you face your own demons and yeah, come to terms with them.
mm.
Um, of course, I brought in a suspension training system so I could still work out.
Good.
But those are the days. It was just 8 hours a day of meditation
Wow.
and a bit of training.
Mm,
And then I came out of that with at that point quite a bit of clarity and a very strong wish to be of benefit to others and
Mm.
to serve. Um, and then I was living in Germany when the retreat place was in Germany. So I came out and then I did a master's degree in exercise science.
Mm.
At the same time, starting to build the brand Razor's Edge. And I guess Razor's Edge. So this came out of having just done retreat and going into master's degree in exercise science. And I guess Razor's Edge is the difference between people who are good and people who are great. And it's not a very big difference. That's why I call it the Razor's Edge.
Okay.
It's just a fine line. And it's more about I mean, yeah, I founded this idea six or 7 years ago, something like this. So it was, um I don't know if I would still call it that. Maybe I would, but the idea being that it's accessible to everyone, and it's not a huge difference, just a slight different approach to how you're seeing things.
Mm.
Yeah, and I guess it's a balance between a spiritual and a scientific, um,
Mm.
yeah, approach to personal training.
What took you to, was it that particular retreat that took you to Germany, or were you in Germany and you found the retreat because you were there?
I went to Germany for that place,
Right.
so
Okay. So it had a good reputation.
they were regarded as best in the world for science, specifically science. Yeah.
I found in my research digging, I found that you had done this 6 month solitary silent meditation retreat, and you beat me to the punch in terms of asking you about it because it just sounds. You hear about people going and doing to 5 days, 10 days, but 6 months like that's just next level in terms of
Mm,
um, just the obviously the amount of time that you've devoted to it. But is it literally 6 months of
mhm.
not speaking to anyone and like you say, no eye contact and meditating every day for that 6 months?
Yeah, so let's break it down a little bit more.
Mm,
I did a I did a volunteer stint in Europe for 6 months. This was years before the retreat, where I helped finish. I'd like to say I helped build, but I helped finish, put the last little touches on a temple that was being built
right.
for a lama who became my main teacher. He's past now, Geshe Khalsen
Mm,
Gyatso. But he had founded this retreat place and a bunch of other temples and centers. And having worked quite hard to get it all ready, I went straight from we were working till like 1 a.m. some days, starting in the morning, working all the way to 1. We were working hard and all volunteer work, all by choice. So,
mm, mm,
but having been working quite hard, then I went straight into a 7 day teaching festival and then a 10 day retreat of silence at Typeland, the place where I did retreat. So having the combination of working really quite hard to then suddenly being in complete silence and having all this time and space in your mind gave me quite an exceptional first experience of retreat
mm,
and led me to want more of that. And then every year after that, I would do my own or I'd do another group one for 7 to 10 days.
mm,
Um, and every time I finished it, I wanted more. So then I set out to go do this long one. So the long one, I spent 10 months living at the retreat center, and I started with 7 weeks. So it was 7 weeks of silence, no phone, no anything like that. And then I came out for 2 weeks of international festival teachings in England. Then went back in for 3.5 weeks and then did a month of volunteering and then did 6 months. It wasn't actually 6 months, it was 5 months and 23 days.
mm,
5 months and 23 days. And that was, so complete silence. You start off, you're in complete silence the entire time. You don't have any phone or email or Wi-Fi or anything like that the entire
mm,
time. There's no verbal communication. You have the opportunity to write to the retreat leader who can clarify questions about your meditation practice, and you can write to um, there's an admin director and a education program coordinator. So you can write to them for each of their specific roles if need
mm.
be. You kind of want to go in having all that stuff sorted out so you don't have to write.
Yeah.
The only person you really want to be communicating to, if at all, is the retreat leader, and only if necessary. So in the first 2 or 3 weeks, I wrote to the retreat leader some questions around meditation, and she answered, and then I didn't write anything else. I You can communicate to the person who brings you food, so you've got food put outside your room 3 times each day,
Yeah.
and then you've got some condiments like cereals and that in your room as well. So you could give a little sign that says like a little token that says oats, for example, or raisins,
Yeah.
and you'll just like leave that with your dishes, and then like in
Yeah.
the next delivery they'll put more oats and raisins.
Okay.
So I mean that I mean it's not really communication, but yeah, like you
Yep.
could say communication. Yeah, at one
Yeah.
point I burnt myself, and I said I've written down I burnt myself. I need some medicine or something,
Yeah.
some hot water. Um, and there was an occasion where a dog ran up to me in the forest, and that felt very much like communication. I met a dog in the forest. But no, other than that, no, it's like literally 6 months of
Wow.
complete silence. And
Mm.
you start off with maybe 2 sessions, and then 3 sessions, and then 4 sessions. So you don't go straight to 8 hours every day, but you kind of ramp up to that over 2 weeks,
Okay.
2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah,
That's phenomenal. And I
yeah.
imagine, like you said, you decided that you sort of had a deep desire to help people, to support people. And did that come early on, or did it take time for you to get that clarity? When did that come?
I mean, it's something that you're always working on, right? So it's
Mm.
it's it's that wish that led me into the retreat in the first place. I
Mm.
wanted to deepen my own strength of this wish. So that led me into the retreat in the first place.
Okay.
At some point, it felt quite stable in the retreat. I remember feeling this seems to be pretty stable now.
Mm. Mm.
That was about halfway in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that you don't stop working on, and if you don't continue working on it, it does wane. So you have to continue working on it. Um, yeah, and as I said, around halfway, but then it continued to get better and stronger, and the blissful experience of concentration continued to improve. I mean, you can imagine thoughts of ordination and becoming a monk were on my mind.
Right.
This is something I considered. Um, yeah, yeah. The bliss of concentration is quite. It just improves the longer that you're able to hold it and to mix
Okay.
your mind with it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's fascinating.
yeah.
Um,
Interesting that it led me to come out and want to be even more of a personal trainer.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a different kind of way of delivering that help and that support. If
Mm,
you've already got the passion for the heavy stuff, then
mm,
it's a way of blending those two things together quite nicely, I think.
mm,
So you've kept the meditation practice going. That's something you still do.
mm.
Are you prepared to sort of share what works for you in terms of how you do it? Because I know you can approach it in many different ways, but some people try and go, "Oh, it's not for me," but it may be that they're doing it a way that doesn't suit them.
Yeah, I think that meditating and getting a good meditation, having concentration, is a little bit like being able to lift a very heavy weight.
Right.
So you go into the gym and try to lift. If you've never bench pressed before and you try to bench press 100 kilograms, you're probably not going to do it. So people come in and just try bench 100 and say, "Oh no, I couldn't do it, not for me." Or they exercise once and then they're not fit and they say, "No,
Yeah.
I tried exercising, it wasn't good for me." Um, I think you're lucky if in your first few attempts you have a good experience because then you know what's possible and then you're hooked and you want to keep going.
Mm,
I think that that's fairly rare. I think you normally have to have a bash at it a few times.
mm,
Um, what led me into it was in my BCom, I did a business ethics course, and the lecturer used Buddhism amongst other religious and secular schools of altruistic thought to build a business model that would be its success would be measured by how much social value created in the world rather than by how much money it made.
yeah.
And in amongst a business a BCom degree, it was a little it didn't really align with everything. It felt like out of place almost, but I loved it, and it was a very well
Mm,
received course. And that led me to try and so the purpose was to become a better person to be able to be better, and then that led me to look at meditation. So I was
mm,
ready to try it a few times, and to I remember just sitting down for 15 minutes, having just had my morning cup of tea, and then just saying, right, I'm meditating. And I just sit down and just, okay, I'm meditating. Just believe that I'm meditating. So just sit down
mm,
calm, quietly and believe it. I didn't know what I was doing, but it didn't feel bad, and I thought, right, well, I'm going to just keep trying to do this meditation thing. And
Mm.
then I saw health after a while. I went to a class, and so I think you need to go to class if you want to learn how to meditate.
Okay.
You need to go to a class.
Yep.
You need to be having someone who's doing it and practicing it and
Mm.
has done it for a while to teach you the methods, and then from that you have to be practicing daily, and you have to be prepared to have no results for a while. It's like you're planting
Yep.
crops; they're
Yep.
not gonna grow immediately. You have to just keep watering them and
Yep.
doing all the putting the plant food on them and everything that you need to do to grow crops.
Yep.
I think that prayers. So I use prayers. I think that prayers are often maybe misunderstood, in
Mm.
particularly in the West. So part of the original basis for my master's degree thesis, which was in the effects of meditation on the cognitive factor of sustained attention, and then how that is applied in sports. Um, Part of the original like hypothesis, it got changed, but part of it was the wanting to compare the process of praying and then meditating, and then just meditating. And the mechanism behind it is that praying, and when I say praying, I mean reciting a prayer from memorization. You have to have it in your mind. You can't read it. Having the prayer in memory and then going through it. That is a process of concentration, and the mind likes to go and hold one thing. Sorry, the mind likes movement. Sorry, the mind likes movement. It likes to just go from one thing to the next one thing. It doesn't
Mm.
like to sit
Mm.
on one thing.
Mm.
But the process of concentration is priming it. So when you're going through reciting prayers, you have to go from line to line, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like summarizing mind to mind,
Mm.
this kind of mind and this kind of mind and this, and you're just saying the words that are linked to that. And the
Mm.
process of going through all of those is and kind of priming your mind for concentration. You
Okay.
start to Your mind gets like warmed up a little bit, and then when you try to hold the actual meditation object single pointedly, without letting any distractions arise, without letting the mind move, just letting it stay in one thing, then it mixes with it more easily. And if you haven't, then if you hadn't done that priming process, so we find this to some degree, to some extent, in the thesis, in the experiment that we ran. Um, but yeah, so anecdotally, I would say that that's a very strong effect. If you're not doing something to prime your mind, and it doesn't have to be religious, like you can just have something in memory that you can recite.
Mm. Mm.
Um, it could be anything. I think it could be anything, but better if it's like kind of related to what you're going to try and meditate about.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then you have to bring the object. So before you try to hold the object, you have to like convince yourself of it a little bit. So if I'm meditating on compassion, say I'm about to train 7 clients
Mm.
about a break, I will go through these prayers and then I'm primed, and then I will try and connect with each person that I'm about to train. And I will think, okay, so this person, oh, they've got this going on in their life and that, and they said this, made that remark about someone else in their life had said this, and they just said it offhanded. If I think about that okay, that actually that person's they're suffering there a little bit, there's some pain there. Okay, what does that feel like from their point of view? And then try and like get into their experience and feel
Mm.
it a little bit, and go
Mm.
through all of the you have to try to see it from as many different angles and point of view until this feeling of compassion arises.
Okay.
And you cultivate it deliberately by looking at it from as many different points of view, and then you can hold it. And I think in
Mm.
people, when they try to meditate, they just go straight to the I'm going to hold this mind of inner peace, or this mind of love, or this mind of compassion, and then just try to hold it.
Mm.
I think you have to be very experienced to be able to do that. You should try to
Okay.
build the mind up first a little bit, spend some time building it, and then you can hold it. So that works for me for
Okay.
meditation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting. That's good. It's I like the advice of going to a class, right? I think you'll have someone who's experienced who can teach you some structure, and then you can use that structure however you want to going forwards.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. I think you need a real person to talk
yeah,
you through it.
yeah, rather than an app.
Yeah, I think app's not a bad place to start, but I
Mm.
think ultimately you're going to need a person. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm aware of the time, and I want to get on to some of your
Yeah,
competition stuff because you have a huge passion, particularly for the bench press, and
that's right.
so much so that you've represented New Zealand and just come back from competing overseas. So Tell us a little bit about that, but why the bench press and what are the comps? I mean, you've world champed, haven't you? Twice world champ.
And I wasn't the world champion. I just competed at the world champs.
Competed at the ch world champions
Yeah,
twice. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. But I'll take that belief of yours. That sounds great. I'll have to work a bit to earn that, I think. Um, I was doing the bench press just to grow muscles
Mm,
originally, and when I started encountering high frequency training and undulating periodization and a bunch of the other principles of exercise science that I use to grow muscles, that while chasing progressive overload, my favorite lifts were just starting to improve, and the bench press had always been my favorite. I had one in my room when I was 14 before I joined the gym.
yeah.
Um, that's just my favorite lift. So
Yep.
yeah, then applying exercise science and I guess a level of determination towards getting better at it. But just to grow muscles, then but from that process, the progressive overloaded my weight to be stronger and stronger. I didn't realize that it was competitive until I looked at some of the results of a previous competition and realized if I entered, there was a competition coming up and realized I could probably win. I'd never competed before. I thought, oh, that sounds fun. I'll go do that. Um, and I think again, it's that first experience being quite positive that you immediately got social feedback from others that hey,
Mm,
you're good at
mm,
this,
mm,
which was lucky, I think. So yeah, that gave me a good first experience, which led me to pursue it more. And then yeah, started competing. I do love the bench press; it's my favorite lift. So I do train other lifts as well.
yep.
I would be competitive in a chin up if
Okay.
chin ups were a competitive lift, but not as
Yeah, yeah,
competitive as my bench.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think I'm built not too badly for it, which again gives me positive reward early on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I find it a good platform to test my training principles and to like develop them further and see how it's, yeah, and then I can apply those same methods to the people that I
Mm,
train.
mm.
I have got this last Japan, I had one athlete competing in the bench only in the women's 52 as well. She came second.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, good for her. She's done
Yeah.
great. Yeah, and I have a few aspiring bench pressers who've competed and are hoping to get to represent New Zealand. So this
Yeah.
maybe in the next couple of years. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
a long term goal. Have you read Jim Collins' Good to Great?
I haven't read it, but someone lent it to me, and it's
You
just
know,
been
that
sitting. It's been sitting there ever since. So it's on the list.
he talks about BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals, and
Yeah.
like a company should have a 10-year goal that's like just achievable, maybe not achievable, 50% chance you can get it.
Okay.
That's like a guiding star. So
Ah,
the 10-year goal is to have New Zealand win the bench press world championships.
right. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
You
Japan
heard it here
Japan always
first.
wins it. Yeah,
Excellent. Excellent. Oh, that's awesome, Richard. You're very humble about it. You know, there's a lot going on there, and I think the balance that sort of meditative Eastern philosophy balances out with the sort of competitive raw nature of more of a Western approach to health and fitness kind of creates this different kind of trainer that I'm in you compared to others that I've come across, and I think it sets you apart because I don't haven't come across too many people that have that same blend. It's quite interesting. Yeah, it's fascinating. Mm.
yeah. Thanks. I think that's the balance that I try to get.
Yeah,
Try to stay humble.
yeah, no, it's some amazing feats, and the bench press competitions. I mean that must take a bit of time out of your sort of your working year, I suppose, in terms of competing and preparing for competition as well as working with clients and other things. So that would be a bit of a juggle.
It can do. Japan took out 2 weeks, including travel time. I've got
Mm.
Oceanas coming up in November and
Yeah.
Nationals coming up in September. So Oceanas will take about a week out of yeah. And I think you have to manage it. So I'll try and
Mm.
align each of my clients up with one of the trainers to look after them. And
Right.
I think the clients appreciate what I'm doing and they look at it as something that's good. I'm sharpening my
Mm.
skills so that they don't. tax you too much for it.
No, no.
Yeah.
I think they appreciate it when they're working with someone who's that committed, that passionate about what they do, and realize that they're fully committed to the journey or the process, and everyone does it, in different places and different ways, but they certainly would accommodate, your traveling and competing because it sort of makes you a better person and a better PT.
Seems like it. I would say to any PT that wants to compete in any kind of powerlifting or any barbell sport, actually, then you should definitely do it. The rewards to your career are probably worth the time spent in it.
Mm, mm, mm.
Mm.
I like it. I'm going to pick your brains now and find out what your top tips would be, Richard. What are the things that have either stood the test of time or things you live by? And obviously, you may have already kind of covered some of this stuff with the meditation type stuff, but feel free to recap or add in some new ones.
I think, yeah, we sort of covered it a little bit already. You have to be good
Mm,
enough at the technical stuff and you have to be excel at the emotional connection with each client. I think paying attention, if you do the basics well, I heard Richard Betty say this a little while
mm,
ago. I think you were there as well. If you do the basics well, you'll be in the top 10%. And I think that's really true. Paying attention to the client in the session, I couldn't say that strongly enough. Um, I feel like this doesn't need to be said. It shouldn't need to be said, but I'll say it. Your phone should be have notifications and everything switched off. You shouldn't be able to receive a message or a call. Even like the little red icon that comes up saying that you've got a note that takes your mind, a little part of your mind away from it. Like all of
yeah.
that, yeah. I hope that that goes without saying. But then in the session as well, you should be paying attention to the client and doing what you need to, whatever it is you need to do to reset and be emotionally available and present so that you can give 100% of your attention to the client in that session. I think that's probably the most important one. I think another one that maybe goes without saying is genuinely care. I think if you can genuinely care about the client, that'll go a long way. It comes across. When you're speaking with someone, you can see if they care or not. I think it comes across. And it makes your work more enjoyable. If you genuinely care about each of the people that you're working with, you look forward to seeing them. Makes your day better as well. So there's a win-win situation there.
Mm, mm,
Um, I think you need to put some time into upskilling scientifically. I think your
mm,
technical skills need to be continuously improving. And you shouldn't rest on your laurels if you're kind of getting good enough results. You should try and have that mindset of always trying to improve.
mm,
Um, and I think on the business side of it, um, you need to be prepared to have a no, get rejected quite a lot. Especially if you're new to personal training, you have to be if you're thinking about joining starting up as a PT or maybe you're in your first year, you have to just accept people saying no, people rejecting you, people stopping training with you.
mm,
And you have to be prepared to go and put yourself out there and look for clients. I think even when we're busy as a team, we still look out for we're always very active in getting new business. Even if I'm full and I have no more bookings available, I still try to keep that going, and then you go into a waiting list or something like that.
mm, mm.
Um, and at the same time, you're ready to get a no. Yeah, even if you feel like you don't actually have space for this person, if they say no anyway, you still have to not let that affect you. And I think
Yeah,
that maybe people don't expect it the first time around, especially if you haven't come from a sales background. Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Agreed. Agreed.
mm,
Yeah, it toughens you up, right? Because yeah, if you haven't got that sales experience, that's what salesmen are used to experiencing all the time, isn't it? 99 no's and one yes type scenario.
yeah. I think on the point of sales, you have to be wanting to you have to believe that the product that you're selling is good for the client. I think that makes you feel less ick. You don't feel like a salesperson. You feel like you've got this good thing that you know will be good for them, and you're just trying to
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
them get to it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
and being prepared for a no after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where can people find you, Richard? What's the best way of looking you up if they wanted to have a conversation, pick your brains?
My Instagram is nzbenchpress_Richard. Um, that's not a bad place to go. I think I've
Yeah.
made myself available there because that's where most of the clients seem to be. So yeah,
Fair enough. Fair enough. Cool.
Instagram's the way.
I'll drop that in the show notes below. Is anything else that you wanted in the show notes? Any other references?
We have an app coming out called
Ooh,
Good Lift,
ooh, I do like that.
which I've started. I've started writing the code for myself. It's just a app that helps organize all of the scientific side of someone's training for you, so that you can
Okay,
focus on the personal side.
love it.
Hmm.
So I go searching for good lift, I'll find something that I can share in
Oh,
the.
it's in the making at the moment, but on the
Okay.
website, racersedgept.com, there is a pilot version that you can download and use now if you have an Android phone.
Oh, okay.
At the moment, Android only. Coming out in Apple hopefully by the end of the year.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah.
exciting. Oh, we didn't talk
Hmm.
about that.
Yeah.
Maybe we can reserve that for a second edition.
Yeah, sure. I think we spoke about what mattered more, to be honest.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, good luck
Cool.
with that. I hope it goes well. I think having another iron in a different fire from a tech point of view is a smart business move as well.
Hmm.
Cool. Well, it's been awesome talking, Richard. I've really enjoyed the chat and just finding out more about what you do and some of that competitive bench pressing is. I saw some of that on your Insta already, and it's quite inspiring stuff to watch. It's some seriously heavy lifts, which I only dream of doing.
Thank you. Hopefully they'll be heavier. Hopefully they'll continue getting heavier. Yeah.
Ready for November. Cool. Well, enjoy
Yes.
the rest of your day. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Richard. It was a pleasure talking with you. Cheers.